ADHD, ADHD. I am an octopus, a jellyfish, an alien cat. I am an emerging artist. Still, it feels like I am. I was recently diagnosed in my 40s and was previously diagnosed with depression from the age of 16. A misdiagnosis, since many people of colour, especially cisgendered girls, are misdiagnosed and go under the radar. Chances are they're hard to find too, because they're moving from house to house in their 20s and 30s. I have done a lot of crazy, wild behaviour. Some of it was marvellous, dangerous, beautiful, enlightening. I feel like I'm emerging as I now have tools to cope, understanding my ADHD more and connecting with other people who are neurodivergent. I always connected with neurodivergent people. It's just having the tools to cope with my neurodivergence, my weirdness. I say this as a celebration because I enjoy being weird most of the time. It's hard though in a world of corporate sameness where everything is medicated, mediated, and ticks all the boxes to be the flavour of the month. Difference then becomes reintegrated back into the tight boundaries of normal society. It's shepherded back into the flock in a sense. Once pathologized, but still kept at arm's length. And God knows we don't need any more weird people roaming around creating chaos and just not doing what they're supposed to do. There's much talk about ADHD being a symptom of childhood trauma, and I refer to Gabor Mate, who incisively explains in his opinion that it's trauma passed down not through DNA but through the environment, and children with ADHD may have had parents who were similarly affected. So trauma is carried through. Mate highlights that the sensitivity found in those with ADHD is often the result of early developmental trauma. I had words to describe myself without the diagnosis for many years, without the medical terminology. I explained to people that I was existing as a multi-dimensional being, that I was an alien cat. I was an alien cat with tentacles. I was psychically made of these tentacles because I could feel so much around me. I could manipulate myself to any environment. I was great at what I now know as masking. I could change faces. I was like a combination of Frank Herbert's face dancers and the soothsayer Bene Gesserit witches from his famous sci-fi book, June. I went, and I still do go by many names. It depends on the company, it depends on the activity that I am engaging in, the environment, how safe I feel, and how I want to relate to you. But what is this mad society that I think we're living in, where most people don't do the work that fosters meaning, connection, joy, creativity, community, where everyone is expected to succumb to a linear progression of living isolated, of ticking only certain boxes. Deleuze's concept of the body without organs is a perfect analogy for me. The body without organs represents the potential to escape the organizational structures that define our society, including the rigid systems that dictate what we should be: normal, productive, fitting neatly into society's expectations. Deleuze and Guattari write about how the body, and by extension the self, are often subjected to pre-established social codes and norms, limiting its potential to exist in pure difference. This body is organized by external forces: medical, social, capitalist, patriarchal, colonial, to function in a certain way, just as those with ADHD are often seen through a lens of pathology, a disorder that needs to be managed. But the body without organs resists this. It is a body of pure potential, unstratified, unstructured, unbounded. In many ways, ADHD can be seen as a refusal to conform to the structures imposed on the body, on the mind, on our existence as humans, and how we relate to our environments. This idea resonates with the neurodivergent experience I'm having. My ADHD mind doesn't adhere to the structures of productivity that are demanded by a world driven by sameness, by doing, always with this idea of control. It's why I felt so out of sync with the normal. Neurodivergence challenges this very idea of a body, a mind, of a self that is fully organized, fully controlled, and fully in control within these societal expectations. What's normal anyway? We live in a world that profits from suffering, from sameness. Byung-Chul Han critiques how modern society's obsession with productivity and sameness creates a burnout society, a world where deviations from the norm, from hyper-efficiency, are seen as failures, and where capitalism commodifies difference just to reintegrate it back into the system without truly challenging it. ADHD, for example, is now easily treated with medication, effectively streamlining neurodivergent minds back into this sameness. But this treatment often suppresses what's so unique and valuable about such people. Normalcy in this sense becomes a manufactured ideal. Imagine that. But the truth is, normal is a fiction, and it's one that upholds the systems of oppression, capitalism, and control. A world obsessed with control. What does it mean to live a life of difference, of weirdness, of being uncontainable, speaking in ways that may seem strange? New languages are formed, hybrid, complex, silence, elastic crystals dancing in the night, dappled by our own desires and by the way we relate and respond in the world. ADHD and other neurodivergent ways of being threaten this fiction. Slavoj Žižek says that the capitalist system, it has this wonderful way of reintegrating the weird. It makes a little room on the edge. It kind of keeps them at arm's length. By having that bit of difference, it adds some freshness to the sameness, but it never amounts to a total subversion of the dominant discourse of thinking, of the main ideology of being normal, of how we relate, of the supposed logical act of common humanity. Where has this gotten us? A whole bunch of useless middle management jobs, a world polluted by toxins, ideologies making wars, making people so isolated from each other, when no one can eat money, and rich white folk publishing the same old stuff with a token weird POC writer thrown in for a while until they move on to the next. Keep them at the edges. Give them a podium occasionally, but keep it all turning exactly how the neurotypical world needs it to be, to remain in total control, but to remain relevant. My thinking has never operated like this. And so, like many neurodivergent people I have spoken with, we get punished and silenced, put in a corner, told, you're a little extra. Any label will do, until we become useful enough to shake up the straight white corporate world of sameness. Neurodivergent people see the world, language, time, and space not in the way most neurotypical people do. Thinking of Deleuze and Guattari's nomads right now, this concept of nomads. Nomads wander across spaces without being confined by territories. And it's true. We will wander and then we will often cluster together. And it may sound like babble, but it's a strange dance of discord that makes so much sense to us. We're dancing like electric octopi, jellyfish, electric cats, aliens together, but feeling very deeply our humanity. There is beauty in the chaos, in this rhizomatic mind. So this rhizomatic mind that refuses to be tamed by linearity. ADHD is not something to fix, it is something to celebrate. I want to argue that in a world of increasingly demanding sameness, conformity, uniformity, straight paths, a world with warring ideologies, with suffering, with people just moving from birth to the job to the grave without questioning, without connection to the environment, without connection to themselves and others. Neurodivergent thinking allows us to reimagine new futures unfolding in so many multiple directions. It is the future.